A shocking return. When Anna comes back wrong. Missing without a trace. Port Charles had been holding its breath for 3 agonizing days. Anna Devane, the PCPD commissioner and legendary WASB agent, had vanished without a trace, leaving a city in panic and the people closest to her desperate for answers. The woman who had survived countless dangers, interrogations, and brushes with death was simply gone. Jason Morgan felt the weight of responsibility more heavily than anyone else. When Anna had reached out to him just hours before her disappearance, she'd confided something that had troubled her deeply, a nagging feeling that Caesar Fazen's presence was somehow still lurking in Port Charles. She'd sensed something wrong about Britt Westburn and Nathan West's sudden return from the dead. Jason had tried to reassure her, reminding her that he himself had shot Fazen years ago. The man was dead. But Anna's intuition, honed by decades of espionage work, had told her otherwise. "I can feel it, Jason," she'd said, her voice laden with concern. "A familiar feeling in the pit of my stomach, like Fazen's presence is closing in on me." Now, as Jason stood in Sonny's office, going over the details with his longtime friend and boss, he couldn't shake the guilt. Had he dismissed her warnings too quickly? Should he have insisted on protecting her? At the hospital, Portia Robinson fielded desperate calls from Anna's colleagues. At Bobby's diner, Felicia Scorpio and Spinelli sat in anxious silence, their conversation turning repeatedly to the commissioner's disappearance. Even Carly Corinthos, despite her complicated history with Anna, felt genuine concern. Anna was a fixture of Port Charles, brilliant, fierce, and seemingly invincible. The idea that something could happen to her shook everyone to their core. The PCPD launched a full-scale investigation. Officers combed through Anna's apartment, her office, and the streets of Port Charles. But there were no leads, no ransom demands, no cryptic messages. Anna had simply vanished. Jason spent the 3 days doing what he did best, working the streets, calling in favors, tapping into his network. He questioned everyone: Britt about Anna's concerns regarding Fazen, Valentine about Anna's whereabouts, anyone who might have seen her. His focus was singular, his determination unwavering. For Jason, Anna wasn't just a colleague or an ally, she was someone he respected deeply, someone he trusted completely. On the 3rd day, exhausted and frustrated, Jason returned to the Quartermain mansion, where Danny was asking questions he didn't have answers for. "Where's Commissioner Devane?" Danny asked innocently. Jason exchanged a worried glance with Tracy. "We're working on bringing her home, buddy," he said quietly. An unexpected return. The shock hit Port Charles like an earthquake. On the morning of the 4th day, Anna walked into the PCPD as if nothing had happened. She was impeccably dressed, composed, and seemingly unfazed by her 3-day absence. The officers who saw her rushed to greet her with a mixture of relief and confusion. "Commissioner Devane, thank God you're safe. We've been searching everywhere." Anna simply smiled, a polite but distant expression. "I'm fine. Everything is under control. Let's get back to work." Word spread quickly through Port Charles. Anna had returned. The relief was palpable. At the hospital, Portia let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. At Bobby's, Felicia and Spinelli hugged each other tightly. But when Jason heard the news, something inside him didn't sit right. He made his way to PCPD headquarters, needing to see Anna for himself. When he walked into her office, she looked up from her desk with that same polite smile. "Jason," she greeted him. "It's good to see you." Jason studied her carefully. The smile seemed forced. Her posture was rigid in a way he'd never seen before. Anna had always been fluid, graceful even in tense situations. This woman seemed stiff, controlled. "Anna," Jason said slowly, closing the door behind him. "Where have you been? Everyone's been looking for you." "I had some personal matters to attend to," she replied smoothly. "Everything's fine now." But it wasn't the way she said it. It was something deeper, something in the cadence of her voice, the slight hesitation before certain words, the way her eyes moved when she answered him. Jason had spent years reading people, deciphering lies, spotting threats. And right now, every instinct he possessed was screaming at him. "Anna, look at me. Jason said quietly. She did, and for just a fraction of a second, he saw something flicker behind her eyes, fear, maybe, or a desperate cry for help quickly suppressed. "You're not Anna," Jason whispered. The woman's expression didn't change, but her hands clenched slightly on the desk. "Don't be ridiculous, Jason. I don't know what you're talking about." But the way she said it, the slight mechanical quality, the repetitive phrasing that seemed to rehearsed confirmed Jason's worst fears. The truth beneath the surface. Over the following days, Jason's suspicions deepened. He began to notice small inconsistencies. The imposter Anna moved differently than the real Anna. She didn't have the same reactions to familiar situations. When Felicia came by to check on her, the fake Anna's warmth felt hollow. She knew the right things to say, but there was no genuine connection, no history behind the words. Jason confided in Sunny. "Something's wrong with Anna. It's not her." Sunny, ever the strategist, listened carefully. "Are you sure?" "I'm certain," Jason replied. "And if someone's managed to replace Anna with an imposter, then Anna is still out there. And if she was taken, she's in danger." The realization struck Jason like a physical blow. While everyone celebrated Anna's return, the real Anna was being held captive somewhere, and this imposter was walking free through Port Charles, potentially gathering information, making decisions as the police commissioner, living a stolen life. Jason began his investigation quietly, methodically. He dug into the events surrounding Anna's disappearance. He discovered that on the day she vanished, she'd gone to her car after confiding her fears about Faison to him. Someone had been waiting. Through old contacts and favors owed, Jason learned about the chloroform, the kidnapping, and the mysterious basement where Anna had regained consciousness, scuffed to a chair, hearing a voice through a speaker, a voice she recognized, a voice that should have been dead. But as Jason dug deeper, the pieces didn't quite fit. If Faison was truly alive, why would he have released Anna? Why send an imposter to Port Charles? What was the endgame? Jason began to suspect others might be involved. Perhaps Faison wasn't working alone. Perhaps this was part of a larger scheme, something that involved the mysterious Jen Sidwell, who had been causing chaos throughout Port Charles. Or perhaps someone else entirely. A man on a mission, determined to find the truth and locate the real Anna. Jason launched a more aggressive investigation. He visited Britt again, this time with sharper questions. "Britt, I need you to be honest with me," Jason said. "Is this about Faison? Is he alive? Is he orchestrating Anna's disappearance?" Britt looked conflicted, clearly wrestling with secrets of her own, but she couldn't or wouldn't give him the answers he needed. Jason turned to other sources. He reached out to his WSB contacts, pulled strings at the agency, and even had difficult conversations with Valentine, who had his own complex history with both Anna and Faison's legacy. At the mansion, Danny noticed his father's distraction. "Dad, are you okay?" the young man asked. Jason pulled himself together, managing a reassuring smile. "I'm fine, buddy, just working through something." But inside, Jason was burning with urgency. Somewhere in Port Charles or beyond, the real Anna Devane was imprisoned, and Jason was determined to find her and bring her home. He couldn't rest knowing that Anna was suffering while an imposter sat in her office, her home, her life. Sunny supported his decision. "Whatever you need, Jason, we'll find her." Jason nodded grimly. "We will, and whoever's behind this, whether it's Faison or someone else, they're going to pay." As Port Charles went about its business, unaware of the dangerous truth lurking beneath the surface, Jason Morgan was already planning his next move. The hunt for the real Anna Devane had begun in earnest, and this time, Jason wasn't going to stop until he'd uncovered every secret and brought Anna back where she belonged. The imposter might have fooled everyone else, but she'd made one critical mistake. She couldn't fool Jason Morgan. And in Port Charles, that was a mistake that could cost her everything. Next, we will learn about the explosive turmoil brewing in Port Charles for the week of November 10th to 14th, where secrets unravel and hearts ignite in unexpected ways. As the winds of change sweep through the quaint yet treacherous streets of Port Charles, the upcoming episodes promise a whirlwind of drama that will leave fans gasping. From political upheavals threatening the city's core to forbidden romances sparking under the shadow of danger, General Hospital is set to deliver its signature blend of suspense and passion. At the center of it all, familiar faces grapple with betrayals old and new, while newcomers weave their way into the fabric of this iconic soap opera world. Buckle up, because the stakes have never been higher, and no one is safe from the fallout. Laura's desperate stand against looming disaster. Laura Collins, the steadfast mayor, whose resilience has weathered countless storms in Port Charles, finds herself teetering on the edge of a profound personal and professional crisis this week. The recent blow to her mayoral re-election campaign, marked by a cascade of scandals and whispered alliances, has left her rattled to her core. Jen Sidwell, the enigmatic power broker with ties to shadowy international dealings, emerges as the puppet master behind this turmoil. His calculated moves designed to dismantle Laura's influence piece by piece. Fans will recall Sidwell's subtle manipulations in past episodes, where he leveraged economic incentives to sway local decisions, but now his ambitions escalate to outright sabotage, potentially plunging the city into financial chaos if his real estate empire expands unchecked. Laura's worry intensifies as she envisions the ripple effects: families displaced, businesses shuttered, and the vibrant community spirit eroded under corporate greed. Determined not to let defeat define her legacy, Laura reaches out to a trusted ally from her storied past, perhaps the wise and worldly Robert Scorpio, whose WSB connections could unearth Sidwell's vulnerabilities. This plea for aid isn't just a Hail Mary, it's a strategic pivot, blending Laura's political savvy with external expertise to expose the threats before they metastasize. In a tense late-night strategy session, she convenes with the young but sharp Emma Scorpio Drake and the poised Charlotte Casadini, to generations colliding in a bid for redemption. Emma, with her inherited detective instincts from her mother Anna, brings fresh energy and tech-savvy ideas, suggesting digital surveillance on Sidwell's operations. Charlotte, drawing from her Casadini lineage's cunning, proposes leveraging family resources to intercept communications. Together, they brainstorm ways to bolster Rocco Falcone's faltering mission, turning a personal grudge into a city-saving endeavor. Rocco, the earnest young man entangled in the web of deception surrounding Britt Westburn, faces mounting pressure after his initial failure to secure her key fob, a device that could unlock doors to classified information hidden in the Metro Court vaults. His botched attempt, involving a feigned emergency that Britt saw through with her medical precision, has only heightened her suspicions, making a second try riskier than ever. Yet, Rocco's determination burns bright, fueled by a desire to atone for past loyalties and protect those he cares about from Britt's escalating schemes. With Emma and Charlotte's guidance, he refines his approach, a decoy meeting disguised as a casual coffee run, where he plans to distract Britt with tales of his latest breakthrough in personal growth. This betrayal, if successful, could hand Laura the evidence needed to rally public support and counter Sidwell's grip. But one wrong move might expose Rocco to Britt's wrath, adding layers of interpersonal tension to the political fray. As viewers, we'll be on the edge of our seats, analyzing how these unlikely allies forge a path through betrayal and hope. Anna's perilous fight for freedom amid rising suspicions. Shifting from City Hall intrigue to high-stakes espionage, Anna Devane's abduction plunges deeper into nightmare territory, testing the limits of her spy-honed survival skills. Kidnapped by forces linked to Sidwell's syndicate, perhaps, a rogue operative with a grudge from her WSB days, Anna awakens in a dimly lit, fortified warehouse on the outskirts of Port Charles, her wrists bound and gadgets confiscated. The spoilers hint at a grueling escape attempt where her captors, armed with insider knowledge of her tactics, anticipate her every feint. This isn't just confinement, it's a psychological siege, with interrogations revealing fragments of a larger conspiracy involving black market dealings that could destabilize the entire East Coast underworld. Anna's salvation may hinge on Felicia Scorpio, the intrepid investigator whose intuition has cracked tougher cases before. As Felicia dives into a seemingly unrelated missing persons file, subtle clues like an abandoned burner phone trace to the docks ignite her suspicions that Anna's disappearance isn't random. Drawing from their shared history of narrow escapes during the Casa Dini saga, Felicia mobilizes discreetly, perhaps enlisting Max Scorpio for backup without alerting the wrong ears. Her probe uncovers encrypted messages hinting at Sidwell's involvement, forcing her to navigate a maze of false leads planted to mislead authorities. If Felicia connects the dots in time, she could orchestrate a daring rescue, utilizing Port Charles' labyrinthine alleys for a high-octane chase scene that echoes classic GH action sequences. Yet, the risk looms large. Any delay might push Anna to desperate measures, like hot-wiring a getaway vehicle or bluffing her way past guards, heightening the episode's pulse-pounding intensity and underscoring themes of loyalty in the face of isolation. Ava's forbidden spark with the dangerous Sidwell. In the midst of these shadows, romance blooms where it shouldn't. Ava Jerome, the fierce art gallery owner with a history of turbulent loves, can't ignore the magnetic pull toward Jen Sidwell. Their initial encounters, sparked at a high society fundraiser amid glittering chandeliers and veiled threats, evolve into charged flirtations that crackle with unspoken danger. Sidwell, with his sharp suits and sharper intellect, sees in Ava a kindred spirit, someone who thrives on risk, much like his own empire-building ventures. As mutual attraction simmers, expect stolen glances across crowded rooms and whispered conversations laced with innuendo, where Ava's vulnerability peeks through her armored exterior. This budding connection isn't without peril. Sidwell's web of influence ensnares Ava in potential crossfire from Laura's crusade, forcing her to question if passion is worth the collateral damage. Inventing a new layer, imagine Ava confiding in her daughter Avery about these feelings, only to receive wide-eyed warnings that echo past Jerome family cautions against outsiders. Their flirtation escalates during a private gallery tour, where Sidwell's admiration for Ava's curated pieces mirrors his growing fascination with her unyielding spirit, leading to a near kiss interrupted by a cryptic phone call. Viewers will dissect Ava's internal conflict. Does she pursue this thrill to reclaim agency after losses, or heed the red flags waiting in Sidwell's shadowy dealings? This arc promises to humanize Ava, blending sensuality with suspense as she dances on the knife's edge of desire and destruction. Lucas's leap into intimacy at Windermere. Meanwhile, Lucas Jones navigates his own relational crossroads, inching closer to Marco Rios in a move that could redefine his future. After weathering family dramas and medical crises, Lucas contemplates Marco's bold invitation to cohabitate at the sprawling, Gothic Windermere estate, a Casa Dini stronghold brimming with history and hauntings. Accepting would mean stepping away from the Jones family orbit, embracing a life infused with Marco's artistic flair and quiet strength. Picture intimate dinners by the fireside, where they discuss dreams deferred, with Marco sharing tales of his travels that inspire Lucas to envision a shared studio for creative pursuits. This decision weighs heavy as Lucas grapples with fears of repeating past heartbreaks, like his turbulent split from Brad. Yet, Marco's offer extends beyond romance. It's a sanctuary offering stability amid Port Charles chaos, complete with promises of joint ventures in community health initiatives. If Lucas says yes, expect tender moments that deepen their bond, perhaps a moonlit walk through Windermere's gardens where vulnerabilities surface, forging unbreakable trust. This subplot adds emotional depth, exploring themes of second chances and the courage to build anew, captivating fans who root for Lucas's happiness in a world quick to complicate it. Jocelyn's vigilance fuels Carly's ruthless scheme. Jocelyn Jax, ever the watchful daughter, intensifies her surveillance role, feeding intel to Jack Brennan while unwittingly advancing Carly Corinthus's intricate web of deception. Under Carly's subtle guidance masked as maternal concern, Jocelyn shadows key players, her smartphone capturing snippets of conversations that paint a misleading picture for Brennan. This aligns with Carly's pivot toward Valentine Casadin's counsel, whose European sophistication tempers her impulsive nature with calculated precision. Valentine, with his history of corporate takeovers, advises layering false trails to isolate Brennan, turning Jocelyn's loyalty into a weapon without her full awareness. As Carlyle's revenge blueprint unfolds, bad tidings loom for Brennan. Fabricated evidence of embezzlement that could strip his authority and exile him from Port Charles power circles. Envision Carly in a dimly lit diner, plotting with Valentine over coffee, her eyes alight with the fire of payback for past betrayals. Jocelyn's mission adds youthful vigor, her moral compass tested as she reports on Valentine's movements, potentially stumbling upon clues that unravel the ruse. This multi-layered intrigue heightens tension as Carlyle's gambit risks alienating Jocelyn forever, blending maternal protectiveness with vengeful ambition in a narrative twist that demands close viewer scrutiny. Michael's passionate night with Jacinda ignites real flames. Capping off the week's fervor, Michael Corinthos and Jacinda Bracken step out for what starts as a strategic dinner but blossoms into undeniable chemistry. Far from a mere publicity stunt, to solidify their public image amid Michael's corporate battles and Jacinda's rising star in the entertainment scene, this outing at the elegant Metro Court restaurant uncovers genuine sparks. Michael's chivalrous demeanor, ordering her favorite dishes with a knowing smile, contrasts Jacinda's poised elegance, their banter evolving from polite to playful as candlelight flickers. What begins as pretense crumbles under intensified emotions. A shared laugh over childhood anecdotes leads to lingering touches and confessions of admiration. Michael, burdened by family legacies, finds in Jacinda a refreshing escape, while she sees his strength as an anchor in her nomadic life. As the night progresses, they might detour to a scenic overlook, where the city lights mirror their burgeoning connection, hinting at a partnership that could weather ELQ's storms. This date not only promotes their alliance, but cements it, promising future episodes rich with romantic exploration and the drama of blending worlds in Port Charles' unforgiving spotlight. With these spoilers, General Hospital gears up for a week that redefines alliances and affections, keeping us hooked on every twist. Stay tuned for more updates. Your front row seat to the chaos awaits.